Hey everybody, I have 7 powerful ink drawing tips that I think are going to make your drawings way better. If you're wondering why your ink drawings look a little flat and more importantly, how do you fix it? Well, then I want to talk to you for a minute. It can be very frustrating trying to use pen and ink for your drawings. They may feel a bit scratchy or flat or even overworked, like you really don't know what you're doing. And honestly, I've been there too. It's not easy to go from pencil to ink. It can be very unforgiving, and there's no erasing, there's no easy way around it. There's no soft blending. Every mark feels very permanent, but here's the thing, most ink drawings don't struggle because of bad line work. They really struggle because of weak planning. So I want to walk you through 7 powerful ink drawing tips that I know are going to help you with depth, stronger value, and more confidence in your work. They're going to be something that you can apply now and in the future. So the first one is going to be starting with gesture, not detail. When you're struggling with ink, the problem usually starts before the ink even touches your page. You're thinking about details too early, and that's a problem that I had. I always wanted to do so much detail right off the bat, but you don't want to do that. So before you ink anything, you're going to do a loose pencil gesture drawing, and I mean very loose. I'm not trying to be clean, right? We're not trying to what we're trying to do is actually capture the energy. So you're going to ask yourself, these are what you're going to ask yourself. Where is the line of action? Very important, because that's going to set the stage for everything. Then, where is the weight? Is there a figure? Is he leaning somewhere or she leaning somewhere? And then, does the pose feel balanced or is it off? So you need to fix that. If the gesture feels stiff in pencil, it's going to feel stiff in ink. Ink only exaggerates what's already there. So loosen up. Draw from your shoulder, draw from your elbow. Think about movement first. Structure comes second. Details come last. Gesture is going to be your foundation of depth. All right. So 2 is simplify the values. Stop drawing everything you see. This is huge. When you look at your references, you're going to be trying to draw shadow first. You're going to try to draw shapes, right? Don't draw every muscle line, every wrinkle, every single thing you see. Focus on the things that are most important. That's why your inks get very busy and they look very flat. So instead, squint at your references. When you squint, the details disappear. So what's left? Well, the big shadow shapes are left. Ink works best when you think in graphic value shapes, not tiny fragments. So try this. Before you start hatching, lightly map out your biggest shadow masses in pencil. Just outline them simply, okay? And in your mind, as you're doing that, think light. Where's the light on this drawing? Where are the midtones? Where is it in between? Where's your shadows? That's it. You're thinking, where's the light? Where's the midtone? Where's your shadow? When you simplify values, your drawing instantly gains clarity and depth, okay? That's going to be something that completely transform your drawings. The third thing is hatch with the form, not across it. When you start off, you want to hatch with the form. This is something that I noticed in a lot of people's work that I've seen that might look flat and they're not as clear as they should, but because it's not describing the body. Hatching should wrap around the form. You're using the contour to show form. If you're drawing an arm, your lines should curve slightly like they're hugging a cylinder. If you're drawing a torso, your lines should follow the plane shifts of the torso. So imagine you're carving the form with lines, and what you're doing is you're essentially carving out that form on paper with your inks, okay? So follow your form and your hatching creates volume. So slow down and ask yourself, right? What direction is the surface facing? Let your lines answer that question. That's how you add depth with ink, okay? Hopefully this is helping you. So number 4, control values with line spacing. And there's something that helped me a lot. In ink, spacing equals value. Wider spacing between lines is lighter tone. Tighter spacing between lines is darker tone. You don't need to press harder to get darker tone. You need to layer intentionally. And please don't jump straight into heavy cross-hatching everywhere. Start light. Build gradually. Let it breathe, right? Let it see. Look, step back and see. Squint. Is there value where it needs to be? And when everything is dark, then nothing feels dark. Same thing with light. When everything is light, nothing feels light. So confidence in ink comes from patience and control. Number 5, use line weight to create depth. So you can make a drawing feel dimensional without even adding more hatching, just by adjusting the line weight. The thicker lines can do many things. They can suggest shadow and they can push forms back. If you have a really, really deep sunken stomach and you add a lot of line weight, it's gonna make that stomach deep back. If you add very, very broad lines, that stomach's gonna protrude out. So to add emphasis, your lines need to be thinner, just like I mentioned. And that's a simple way to add dimensionality, okay? Keep things delicate. This is very important. So you're gonna try that rule, right? On the shadow side of your form, slightly thicken your contour line. On the lighter side, where the light's coming in, keep it lighter. Sometimes even broken, so you might have little broken marks, and that's one way to really help with that. So that subtle shift adds depth instantly. It's one of the fastest ways to keep flatting drawings, okay? Number 6, save your deepest blacks for the right places. This is where your drawings can really level up. And as you can see, make sure the blacks are where they need to be. It's gonna really help your drawing stand out. So right now, if you're either afraid of going too dark or going dark everywhere, that's fine. But think of it this way instead. Think of it as a value hierarchy. Well, the white of the paper is your lightest light, the light hatching is your midtone, your cross hatching is your shadow, and your solid black, your pure ink, that's your deepest dark. So that deepest black should be used strategically. That's where you're gonna have things like your cast shadows or your really, really deep core shadows, okay? So as far as focal points, when you're doing inking, when you place a bold, solid black next to a white highlight, that contrast creates a lot of drama and a lot of depth in your inking. So remember that. Don't sprinkle dark everywhere. You don't want a little bit of dark everywhere, because then everything becomes kind of desaturated with darks. Design it, protect it, okay? So number 7, protect the white of your paper. And this might be the most important one. You don't add light in ink, you preserve it. The white of your paper is your strongest highlight. Before you start rendering, ask yourself this: where is my light source? Where is it coming from? What direction is it coming from? Then protect those areas intentionally, right? You protect those areas, all here, protect them. And one of the biggest mistakes I used to make when I was overworking everything is I felt like I had to fill in everything on that page. You don't need to fill in everything on your page. Let the areas rest a little bit. Let some edges dissolve. Let the light breathe through your composition. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just stop, come back a little bit later, or give yourself a break, take a tea break, whatever. And here's a quick reality check. Ink feels scary because it forces you to commit, but that's also why it also helps build confidence, and it teaches you many, many things. You look at these drawings, they were done with very light pencil, but then I committed to every line that I did. And it teaches you decision making. It teaches you about value design. It teaches you about clarity. How clear do you want your illustration to be? So intentional mark making is something very important that it'll teach you. If your ink drawings feel flat right now, it doesn't matter. You're bad at ink. It's probably just means that you're trying to solve too many things at once, right? So a few tips: focus on gesture, the big value shapes, form following hatching, your line weight, strategic blacks. Make sure you're putting your blacks exactly where they need to be. Preserve your highlights. That's how you add depth and confidence to your ink drawings. Next time you draw with a pen, don't try to impress anyone. Just focus on one thing: better value grouping, or stronger line weight, or cleaner hatching direction. Small improvements, they really do stack up fast. And I promise you, once the ink clicks for you, it's going to become one of your most satisfying mediums to work in. So let's get back to the studio. Let's get back to your drawings. Let's get back to your sketch pads, your papers, and let's fix those flat ink drawings. Thanks a lot, everybody. God bless.